Welcome to the LZ Sports Show. I am your host, Mark Adam, here in the WPG Sports headquarters. As usual, I am going to be joined by my partner in crime, Mr. Keith McKnight, all the way from his home, socially distanced and whatnot. And how are you today, Mr. McKnight?
I'm doing well this morning. How are you?
I am great. Before we get to all of what we're going to get to today, which is, by the way, a lot of things, I thought that we might start with the letting people know that they can follow us on all of the social medias. So be that Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch now is a thing. So very, very exciting about that. And let's get into all that stuff. You can have your say if you want by calling or texting the WPG Sports Line 431-800-4555 or email the LZ at thewpg.ca. Of course, you can go about it by commenting live in the chat if you're watching this during the live stream, or below the video if you're watching it on demand on YouTube, or on Twitch you can comment live. On Facebook you can comment along. Lots of stuff going on today. You can get in touch with us. We want to hear from you. But we have two guests with us as well. It isn't just myself and Mr. McKnight today. So let's get to that right after a word from our sponsor. We'll be back in 30 seconds.
Make your house a better place to come home to with Aquatech Pool, Spa, and Bath. We've been delivering complete customer satisfaction for over 40 years. Whether it's a fully completed backyard escape, a completely renovated bathroom, or a premium upgrade on outdoor furniture, Aquatech is the only name you need to know. That's because if it's an Aquatech job, it's an Aquatech team working on it. No outsourcing, no subcontractors. We do it all. Visit our one-of-a-kind showroom today at 1065 Dugald Road. Aquatech Pool, Spa, and Bath. We create better places to come home to.
Welcome back, and thanks again to our sponsor, Aquatech Pool, Spa, and Bath. We greatly appreciate them, of course. Now, on to the fun part, which is our guests on the show today. Mr. Kerry Bilkowski is with us, musician and photographer in town. By the way, he's a boss musician, just so you know. If you ever have a chance to hear the guy play, you definitely want to take advantage of it. Now, all that said, we also have one of our favorites, friend of the show, absolutely anonymous guy, Redditor Neutral Zoner. Welcome to the show, sir. How are you?
Doing very good. Happy Mother's Day, everyone.
Happy Mother's Day indeed. My mom actually liked the stream. I don't know if it popped up on your there. See the thing at the top of the screen there? That's my mom. Love you. She's all the way back in Nova Scotia, so it's I'd give her a hug, but it'll have to be digital this year, I guess. So as Mr. McKnight's camera goes shrinky dink, I will let you know it's a thing with Skype for those watching the actual show. It is a thing with Skype where sometimes it just resizes Keith for no apparent reason, and I haven't figured that one out yet. It's somewhere between Skype and Streamlabs OBS that I'm using. I'm not really sure, but it doesn't matter. And it especially doesn't matter to those who are listening to the audio podcast, which is actually a thing now. So you can listen to this as an audio version, and we have to keep that in mind as we show you the graphics. We'll definitely read out all of the pertinent information for you. Why don't we start by looking at those stats whilst we talk about that game last night? So again, for those that can't see it, 4-2 for the Ottawa Senators. Boo. 29-23 for the Jets. Yay, except for it didn't work out. The 48% in the face-off circle for the Jets. 0 for 2 on the power play. 1 for 2 for the Senators, which was unfortunate. Only four penalty minutes each. 28 hits for the Jets, 16 for the Senators. It was a game that the Jets probably should have won. When we look at the score sheet here, 2 goals, obviously, Scheifele, Appleton. Well, I like to see Appleton get that monkey off his back. That's a nice change of events, I suppose you could say. And, I mean, Scheifele getting 2 points is obviously also a good sign for the team. Wheeler and Forbort getting on the scoreboard. Forbort. Those Sportsnet announcers, man, they've been doing enough of these games. They should be able to say his name by now, but whatever. They can say Stutzla, but they can't say Forbort. I don't get it. Whatever. Stutzla, by the way, with the hat trick last night. Connor Brown with 3 points, with being a goal and 2 assists. There were only 5 actual point getters on the Senators last night in all 4 of those goals. Stutzla with 3 goals, Brown with the other goal, 2 assists, Pinto with 2 assists, and Zub and Mete each getting a helper. The Jets will be in action again tomorrow at home. All the rest of our games are at home, but they'll be in action tomorrow against Vancouver there. And May 9th, which is today, the Calgary Flames will be seeing the Ottawa Senators slide into their arena. So a back-to-back for the Senators tonight. Okay, so now that we've gone through all of those stats, why don't we start with some positives, gentlemen, shall we? We'll go to the quad box here. Let's start with Carey Bilkowski. Why don't you give us your performer of the game?
My performer of the game yesterday was Mark Scheifele. He still had a couple streaks of the sort of Scheifele skating slow and not really hustling to the play. But, he was a big playmaker when it counted. He made an incredible play to make a great pass to Appleton in the slot and get a goal there. And then he also had a awesome solo effort where he broke in and just picked his spot and scored. And that's what we need right now. We need some dynamic scoring and some point getting.
Yeah, I agree. Zoner, who'd you pick?
Well, I'll leave my first pick alone because I know we probably share the same opinion. My second pick is Adam Lowry. Okay. So Lowry is a huge difference maker, and since his return from injury, he's been on fire. He's so kind of the opposite of what you just said, Carey said about Scheifele. Like, he's been skating really hard. He's hitting guys. He's causing havoc in the offensive zone. He's making chances. Cop's usually the beneficiary of those chances. The third line as a whole was buzzing all over the ice all night. And I was looking at the stats. I'm actually kind of sad. They only played 14 minutes or so together. Maybe they should be the first line. I don't know. That's my pick, Adam Lowry.
All right, and I don't hate that at all. Actually, I love the way that Lowry's been playing lately. So I can't complain about that. Now to my left, we're gonna go. Why does it say the names are wrong? It says Keith McKnight here, but it says Mark Adam. Whatever. Who cares? I thought I had all of the technical glitches worked out, but if I don't point out at least one per show, the karma gods don't let me have the rest. So, Keith McKnight, would you go ahead and tell us who you thought was the player of the game last night?
For myself, I'm going to have to copycat you and have to go with Mason Appleton as well. He really did try to get that monkey off his back. He skated very well, and he really wanted to show, that he belongs on that team. He doesn't want to have the coaching staff think that, okay, well, he's not an individual who can't help the team win.
Right. I agree. And it's funny because if somebody ahead of me had jumped on my guy, I would have jumped to the combination of Lowry and Appleton, the way that they've been playing, and Kopp, like that whole line. Like, if I'm allowed to do that instead of a player, but nobody picked him, so I'm gonna do it the way I planned it, which is Ville Heinola. He had 17 minutes and 47 seconds on ice last night. He had 1 minute and 11 seconds on the power play. He had a -1, which wasn't awesome, but whatever, it happens. And then 4 blocks. But I thought he played very well, and he looked like he belonged out there. He didn't look out of place at all, and I also noticed that there were a couple of times Ben got caught, and for some reason he was paired with Ben last night. That was the whole thing last night was, and we'll get into that lineup choices in a second here, but he was out there with Ben, and Ben got caught a couple of times on bad pinches, and Heinola came to the rescue. Honestly, I think he really saved the day a couple of different times. So I really thought that he looks like a kid that wants to be there. He looks like a guy that deserves to be there. And I'm excited to see what comes. And whether he gets any time in the playoffs or not, I don't know. But I think he looks ready to have that thrown at him should that need arise, right? So whether they go with him in the playoffs or they go back to their, Paul Maurice and Chevy's stubbornness of play the vets. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But I really thought Heinola, he was really good last night, I thought, and I still. Until I hear him say his own name, I'm not going to commit to one of those pronunciations. So, having said all of that, and speaking of that coaching that I had mentioned, what did you guys think of the lineups last night? I really think that Paul Maurice has to get away from that Connor, Scheifele, Wheeler line. That has to just stop. Can we just stop? They're good players, so they're always going to look like okay out there, but they're not looking dominant. They're not taking over the game like they should. Our third line is the best line right now, and that's not okay, to be honest. So I'm going to throw it to Carey Bilkowski first. What did you think of the lineup? Was there something that you would have changed? What would you have liked to see? Let's go to Carey.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head. It seems like Paul Maurice is addicted to this Connor, Scheifele, Wheeler top line. And, we've seen in the past them produce and be a true top line, but we've also seen just stagnation. They seem to be caught in this feedback loop and not able to really, they're not playing like a number one line, like an elite offense that we supposedly have. I'd like to see Pierre-Luc Dubois get some more minutes and be played as a bit more of an offensive player. He seems to be slotted into this sort of grindy middle line checking sort of situation. And, they were during the game yesterday, they showed a bunch of clips of him in the playoffs last year against Toronto, and he looked like an offensive phenom. And we haven't really seen that here in Winnipeg. And I just think it's because of how we're choosing to play him. We've got to give the kid a chance, put him on a line with someone who's going to feed him those pucks. Adam Lowry might be the guy. I don't know who's going to set him up.
That's fair enough. There's so much weirdness going on with this lineup. Keith, care to weigh in? Or Mark Adam, as it says on the thing there.
On my screen here.
It says that.
Yes, I don't understand why he is very reluctant to mix things up. Like, I get it that it worked a little bit, but especially now with going into the playoffs and the way things have transpired with this losing streak, they've only won 2 games, right? So, only one. So it's something that Carey I have to piggyback off him saying that he needs to mix things up here.
I agree as well. I think that there's lots of things that need to change there, but what we're doing obviously isn't working, so why not change it up? Zoner, what have you got for us, Mr. Zoner, sir?
I agree, but I agree for a very different reason.
Okay.
Because I actually think the first line played pretty good yesterday. They did not dominate, but they were productive. They did cause chances. Connor was all alone by himself in front of the goalie for that one chance in the second period, was it? Anyways, they did actually pretty good compared to their recent past performances. But for me, the big question mark is the second line. They were completely invisible, and this is where I'd have to disagree with Carey. I think Dubois is playing better, but I'd be scared to give him more ice time than he's got now. He does need different partners. That second line, Stastny, and Pro, they're all great on their own, but together
there's not that chemistry.
They just don't seem to know there's nothing going on when they're on the ice together.
Yeah, that's a tough one. So how do they shake things up? There's 1,000 different ways they could go about it, to be honest, but I would like to see them break up that top line, get Mason Appleton with Dubois and Connor. That's what I want to see. I want to see that line. Dubois, Connor, Appleton. Let's see what that looks like, right? And then Kopp can play with Scheifele and Wheeler or Scheifele and Stastny. And then down, you got Lowry in the middle, with whoever's left, basically, because whoever goes on that third line with Lowry is the guy carrying that line somehow, and we signed him at a great price. It was a good deal for him, a good deal for the Jets, a solid move for the future, I think. And I don't know. I just think that it's the top six aren't doing what they need to do. So shuffle it up. Stop leaning on that top line that isn't doing anything for you. Obviously, they're talented players, all three of those guys, Connor, Scheifele, and Wheeler, but they're not out there dominating the game. The third line, Lowry, Kopp, and Appleton, are out there absolutely instilling fear in the opponents every time they step on the ice. And I think something's got to give there. It's the top line that's got to get broken up for me, and that's just the way that I am looking at it. If you want to have your say, we do have this really cool little chat box feature. Hello. Oh, we got chats going on here. Hello, Mufasa. Okay, goodbye. Okay. Yeah. So, the chat box is available. Hello. How are we doing? And, you can throw your messages up there and we'll hear from you, then, and you can take part as we go. I don't know why that's not showing up on this side, but we'll figure it out. It'll be fine. So that said, let's get back to the matter at hand, which is our subject matter on the show today. I want to jump right into the sort of storylines from the game. First of all, last night, every single period, I felt like at the end, there was no follow through. Zoner, want to elaborate?
Yeah, I felt the Jets started each of those periods really strong. They put a lot of pressure on the Ottawa D. They were cycling the puck. They were in the zone for shift after shift. But they just couldn't finish. They couldn't capitalize on those chances. As the periods went on, they seemed to slow down, and Ottawa would start clogging up the neutral zone a little bit more. And by the end of the period, it seemed like Ottawa was getting the chances, even though a lot of them from the outside. But still, as we saw from the first two goals, all you need is a nice tip in the right spot, and those far-away chances suddenly become grade A scoring.
Yeah.
Ottawa just seemed to get stronger as the periods wound down. It's almost like the Jets run out of gas each period.
Yeah, there was something happening there, and I'm not sure what it was, but man, the end of the period is so important, and the Jets just seem to just ignore it. It was like, okay, the period's almost over. Let's get into the second period, and you know what I mean? And that's not the way you want to end a period. So, Mr. Bilkowski, was there anything there you wanted to add, or?
Well, yeah, when Maurice gave his post-game press conference, he said, the technical aspects were there. We weren't dropping assignments. We were just missing the emotional component. And I totally agree with that. We came out strong in especially the first and second, really looking like a team who wanted to win the game. But, after a few minutes, and especially in the first period when we dominated the first 10 minutes, and then just, two in a row got by Hellebuck, neither of which I really blame him for. They were deflections and hard pucks. But, you could just see their shoulders sag and a lot of motivation lost there. And at that point, you're almost looking for someone to pick a fight or throw a big hit or do something to spark some emotion and get the guys going, because I do think, honestly, the Jets are kind of treating these last few games as practice and prep for the playoffs. So I don't know that there's any real panic or urgency on the bench or in the locker room for them. But as a fan, I'd really like to see a spark and some fire and see him get going.
Yeah. McKnight, anything to add?
Yeah, I would really like to see him get going as well and add that energy for the Winnipeg Jets.
Right. All right. So what are we doing here, folks? Let's talk about, should Hellebuck be fired if he leaves the crease again? Every time he plays the puck, we have absolute chaos dominate the rest of the next 60 seconds, often leading to goals. This has been a pattern throughout the course of the year. And last night, the Sportsnet announcers decided that they were going to blame our boy Ville Heinola, but they were going to blame him for the problem. And I thought that wasn't fair. You got a really experienced goaltender in Hellebuck. You got a guy who's not used to the systems that they play as much as the other guys in Ville, whose last name, you know what it is. But so I just want to see him either stay in the net or get better with handling the puck. He has to. Every time he leaves the crease, I have a heart attack, and that shouldn't be where I'm at as a fan. It's a Matt Murray level panic for me every time he leaves the net, and I don't know what's going on there. Mr. McKnight, thoughts?
I don't know what's going on there either when he leaves the crease, and it just doesn't really look good for him. And when you say fire, and it's like, I love how you use that word instead of trade him or release him. You're like, fire this guy. Don't do that.
Exactly.
Please don't fire Connor Hellebuck.
Well, I mean, I'm being facetious when I say it, but something's gotta change there, because he can't keep giving pucks away and causing goals that happen to him. He's his own worst nightmare a lot of the time out there when he's handling the puck, and that's not okay. So, Mr. Bilkowski, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, this is something we've seen for seasons and seasons from Hellebuck. Is he just, when he plays the puck, crazy things happen, and it doesn't seem like he's necessarily making the wrong plays, but they always seem to end up kind of coming back and biting him. And last night, I think the example where the announcers blamed Ville H was, it wasn't fair. I think there was a cross line of communication there, and I wouldn't necessarily put it on the rookie defender there. I would put it on our veteran goalie who should know better. But I think he needs to continue playing the puck. He just has to be smarter about it and make sure he's got eye contact with his defenders and everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, I feel that. And I mean, I always take notes, and like I have like my headline, and then I put like little notes about like sort of what my point is basically. But for this one, I just wrote Helle leaving the crease equals nope, and then my notes it just says just nope. Like that's you just can't. Zoner, go ahead.
Oh, I don't know where to start. The simplest. So back to the blaming Ville on that play. Like that pass was nowhere really. Like it was between two jets. Like take your pick. It was a bad pass.
And then they're blaming Heinola. What do you think of that?
I don't know why. But why is he coming out? And I think I kind of go back to the article I wrote a few weeks ago talking about chasing the game, where at that point they're down 1-0. He wants, Hellebuck wants to be a part of the comeback, and he desperately wants to get the offense going. He's trying to do more than he should. He's not. We all know he's not a great puck handler. He's been bitten so many times this season, and that's another thing too. When you talk about goalies mishandling the puck, and eventually the announcers will say, "Well, you know what? Out of 100 times, it'll happen once. It's people. The team will take that." But with the Jets, it's not once every 100. It feels like once a game, right? Yeah. And he's. Contrast that with the following game, which I watched, Edmonton and Vancouver. Oh. You got Mike Smith out there playing like a defenseman. There was one pass, I don't know if you watched the highlights, but he was behind his own goal line, firing a beautiful saucer pass up to McDavid, who was at the opposite blue line, and it hit him right in the tape.
Yeah, well,
that was incredible. Like, what a contrast between our guy who can't make a 5-foot pass and this guy who almost cleared the whole rink and hit McDavid right on the tape in stride. It was unbelievable.
It had that Carlson look. Remember that Carlson pass?
Oh, yes.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, definitely.
It looked like that.
Playoffs.
Yeah, that was nuts. Anyway, that was absolutely crazy. All right. So enough about Helle leaving the crease. The point is he shouldn't. So Morrissey, inconsistent at best.
Oh yeah, don't know where he is. Falling through, like he's off the radar, falling through the cracks here. He's almost like becoming like a Ben Sherratt.
Uh,
Oh, Ben Sherratt's good now.
yeah, he's
Yes, that's what I mean. No, that's what I mean. It's like when Ben Sherratt was here, he had that way. He was starting to fall through the cracks here. I was just like, man, this guy almost seems like irrelevant to the coaching staff. And it's just like I feel like Morrissey, the only thing that's keeping him on people's, keeping him with people paying attention to him is the fact that he has an A on his jersey. Because it's definitely not his play.
He was on the ice he had the most ice time of all D-men, so he's definitely out there. But he's not making a good impact a lot of
No, he's really not. And it's not like he's a player that he's a fan favorite. And like I'm not like I hate to say these things about the guy because it's like I'm a fan of him. But it's just like, yeah, where is he? And he just cut his hair too, so I just thought that like maybe that might happen.
You and the hair theories, it's crazy. I was in the Jets Discord actually, not during last night's game, but the previous game. We were talking, and I meant like people were talking about who do you let go, blah blah blah, and I'm like, I wouldn't be mad at seeing Josh Morrissey leave.
Neither would I.
And not that I want him to go, because if he sorts himself out, he's proven that he can be the guy, but his performance over the last couple of years has consistently gone down, which is the only consistent thing about his game has been, how unreliable he is becoming. And, when he shows up, he's great. I mean, he scored the goal the other night. He played hard. He had 9 shots on the game. It was, he just showed up the other day, and he just doesn't every day. And when you got an A on your sweater, it's your job to show up at least,
I know.
And our leadership, they really showed up in that Calgary game, and they were very quiet again last night against Ottawa. So something's going on there. Bilkowski, anything else to add on that note about Morrissey?
Honestly, I pretty much agree wholeheartedly with everything you're saying. He's been an inconsistent player, and when you've got the letter on your chest, you have to be that rock that the team needs. Last night he was a bit of a non-factor in the game. I don't think he had a single shot on net. I didn't see him throwing hits or really even playing super smart defense. Though I would say half our defense looked pretty weak yesterday.
That's fair. I mean, speaking of the leadership, though, let's take this a little bit of a different direction. Scheifele has been an issue lately, as far as his performance is concerned, and everyone thinking he's like dragging his heels out there, and he's just not looking himself. And last night he led the team in ice time with 23 minutes, 23 exactly. And he looked a little bit better than he has in recent games, but he still just doesn't look himself. And when you got a guy leading your team in ice time, he needs to be the guy leading the team. And I really didn't think he was. Zoner, you want to weigh in?
I think he's slowly coming back from injury. That's my version of the conspiracy theory. I think he was hurt, and he's getting better. That's why we're seeing more production out of him. But he's still taking strides and shifts off, and that's not a good thing.
Spends a lot of his time
bad
posting,
for the
right?
team. And it's a bad example for the rest of the team, especially when you got younger guys coming up after him and watching that. It's your leadership does set the tone. Hockey's kind of odd in that captaincy, and it's a big deal in hockey, right? And people actually do follow that example.
Look at the Calgary game, for example. The leaders showed up. Their team leaders, their veterans. Adam Lowry, Mark Scheifele had a couple of points, and or he had at least 1 point in that game. But then Blake Wheeler potted a couple. You got when your leaders show up, it just everyone rallies around them.
Can I just say I think although he wasn't I don't think he was on the scoreboard. Maybe he got an he did get an assist. Blake Wheeler played really strongly yesterday, I thought. He was skating hard to the puck. He was doing what he could to create plays, and it was nice to see that, because I think he struggled a lot this season. And when he plays like a captain, it feels good to see that.
That saucer pass he made to Scheifele was a thing of beauty.
It was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. Perfect timing. It landed right on the stick. It was amazing.
Yeah, that was a beauty pass. And I mean, that was a beauty move by Scheifele, to be honest. And again, like, he's got those flashes, but then he'll spend the next 3 shifts not moving his feet, So that's the issue. When your leaders aren't leading, that's a problem. But
yeah, you can't.
Sorry, go ahead.
Can't take those shifts off.
Right. You
can't take those shifts off. They're very, very noticeable, especially when you're in the first line, especially when you're in a slump.
And there's 3 games left in the whole season.
To turn it around. Mm-hmm.
Right? You can't be coasting with 3 games left in a shortened season where every win matters. You just can't. You clinch the playoffs, but that doesn't mean take the night off. And to be fair, he was coasting for several games before they clinched the playoff spot. So, your theory about him being injury is starting to carry a lot more water with me. And, I wouldn't call it a conspiracy theory as much as, what other explanation is there? So Keith McKnight, our resident conspiracy theorist, he's all about it.
Yes, sir.
What did you just real quick, because we're going to get into some other things in a second, but Perreault shaved his beard. What do you think, McKnight?
Sorry?
Perreault shaved his
Perreault, yes. He looks very, very clean and cut. I like that. But he was the guy, when he had the long hair and the beard, he looked like Johnny Depp from Pirates of the Caribbean. And I had this thing I've calling him Pirate Perreault. I don't know, man. The long hair with Perreault, like, it suits him, and like the beard was a good look. And I'm surprised he changed the look, but he looked good last night. Looked nice and clean cut last night.
Right on. Okay, fair enough. All right. So, but you have all these theories about like people's hair and then changing it versus their performance, and like, well, this team wore blue pants.
But I don't think that. Perreault used to be like a star a night. Now it's just like, I don't know what's going on. So yeah, I think he should have kept the hair though.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, I just thought I would give you an opportunity to shout out your conspiracy theories. The last storyline was there weren't any real major faults in the Jets' play overall, but it was a lot of little things. Let's start with Zoner.
I thought it was the little things, and then it was like a missed pass here or there, a pass that ends up in somebody's skate or too far ahead, and it just affects the breakout. And again, like all these little things, you can't break out. Okay, Ottawa hems you in, puts more pressure on the D, they make a mistake, and that led to the first goal. The second goal was the Helle one, which we covered in depth. The third goal was just a bad pass by Forbert up the boards. He missed 3 Jets who were just waiting for the puck. It was all these little things add up, and we've seen in their very recent past where other teams don't need that many chances, right? You give them those many chances, they're going to score.
Yeah.
Especially when you're the team slumping.
Yeah.
You can't. It's the little things adding up.
Well, yeah.
In terms of advanced stats, somebody posted on Reddit a link to these advanced stats page, and I'm not a big advanced stats guy, but I took a look, and the Jets are like dominating that game in every category. Corsi, 5-on-5 time, everything. But it's just those little things. Boom, it's in the net.
And you got these young, very talented guys on the Senators squad. You give them an inch, they will take a mile. They will. They will burn you if you make a mistake. Hellebuck giving the puck away, boom, goal. Immediate mistake leads to scoring opportunity immediately. These guys are they're young, they're hungry, they're not really a great team yet. They're working on that. They don't really have that crazy chemistry going on night in and night out. I mean, they have flashes of it, which for the future, if you're a Sens fan, looks beautiful. But when you give them the puck and you give them an opportunity, they're not going to squander it. They have the talent. They have the energy to burn you. And we saw that again last night. So thoughts on the little things, Kerry?
Oh,
go ahead there,
Sorry.
Keith. If you
no. Go ahead. No, please.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's the little things. It's just passes not ending up on the tape, ending up in a guy's skates. It's especially against an Ottawa team that has nothing to lose. Every chance we get them to give them to break out, they're going to take it. They're going to take those extra shots. And when you see, Ben pinching in and completely flubbing a puck, like Ottawa is going to, push that hard. And they are full of young talent and these guys that are just going to punish you at any moment. And, it's kind of the usual suspects who are sort of hurting us too. It's Brown and Stützle just picked us apart yesterday as well.
So good. He is a player to watch. Watching him at the World Juniors this year was awesome. And what was funny was I think it was Gord Miller was calling the game, and he said because the Canada was up like 8-0 on Germany or something at the time, and Gord Miller said, Stützle, what a great player, but he's going to have to get used to games like this playing in Ottawa this year. And I just thought, how true, And for the first half of this season, that was the case. But before we get into the whole divisional thing, we're going to slide into one other thing. But then we're going to talk about Ottawa a little bit more, because I know they're not in the playoffs, but it's talk worthy. Let's get into it right after we talk about the fact that Ehlers skated yesterday, and while he wasn't taking contact or anything like that, that's a step in the right direction. I think he's trying to get himself ready for the playoffs. So what do we think about seeing Ehlers out on the ice finally, fellas? Let's start with Keith, since we sort of jumped him last time.
No, that's okay. I'm really excited for that. He had that spark. It's just, when you said that, when you wrote that article, Mark, about him stepping out of Laine's shadow, it's like, call it a shadow or not, it's just giving him the opportunity to finally just express his play. So hopefully he can really come back soon for the playoffs and give the Jets the spark they've been missing.
Yeah, it'd be great to see him back in the lineup. Honestly, he's very, very good at what he does, and the team has been absolutely, like, they just haven't been the same without him. And that's an unfortunate thing when you have one player out of the lineup and it makes that big of a difference, but that's just where we're at right now. Zoner, thoughts on Ehlers?
I'm really hoping he's back. He's been the MVP of the Jets season, and his absence has just sort of put a huge spotlight on that fact.
Yeah.
He was really missing the last 10 games that he's been gone. You were talking about the Senators, and like his speed would have made a big difference. And the combination of him and Pionk being out made a huge difference in that game. Just there were no pucks that the Jets couldn't cleanly get, right? Because the Senators were just that much faster.
Yeah, it was.
I hope he's back. But with Ehlers skating, I did watch that clip as well on Hockey Night in Canada. When did the playoffs start? Another week? I hope he's ready, but like they said, he's not ready for contact. He's skating around in circles. So at least he's getting his legs ready. But I don't know if the shoulder injury, he didn't shoot any pucks, right? So that's next stage. Well,
that's the thing, and he's obviously taking his recovery very seriously and doing what he had to do out there skating on his own in Winnipeg. When it's unfortunate that we got a superstar sitting in the wings like that. Bilkowski, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, Nick Ehlers is what this club is missing right now. He's fast. He plays with a ton of spirit. He's willing to be the tough guy when he needs to, even though he's not at all your prototypical tough guy. Mm-hmm. And his zone entry is exactly what we were missing in the game yesterday.
Right.
For all the, dump and chase that we were failing at, he's the guy who can skate the puck in and create plays. We really, really, really need him back for the playoffs if we stand any chance of getting past Edmonton, it looks like.
When he takes one of those swooping skates through the neutral zone and then starts charging at you as a defenseman, that has to be one of the most unnerving moments where you're like, oh crap, he's getting up to speed. You got to start skating backwards like immediately, because by the time you think about it, he's already passing you. And, he's so creative. So if you do get the step on him, he'll just turn around, go the other way. Like, he's just so quick. He changes directions so well. And I mean, Kyle Connor is capable of that. We know Mason Appleton is capable of that, but we haven't really seen that from those guys nearly as much as we need to, especially given that we're missing that the Ehlers factor. So that's basically all of the Jets specific topics that I had in mind. Was there anything else that any of you wanted to discuss vis-a-vis the Jets specifically, or shall we move on to looking at the division?
I think we're good on the Jets. What about you boys, Carey, Zoner?
I'd like to briefly complain about our defense.
Okay.
If I could.
All right.
I just the Forbort and Poolman line is killing me out there. They look half a step slower than every other player on the ice, and I pull my hair out when they're on the ice. Drives me nuts. I'd really like to see Stan back in there, but I think that's sort of the fan fantasy these days.
Fair enough. However, I will point, and I would like to see Stanley back in the lineup as well. That said, is Stanley any faster? I feel like maybe not. Right?
No, but I think he clears out the
so.
front of the net the way that these guys don't.
That's fair. Okay. I just wanted to point out, speed wise, he might not be your choice, but yeah, like
Agree.
He definitely is a bulldozer out front, in front of Hellebuck and or Brossoit when Brossoit is out there. So let's jump into the divisional real quick. We know that Ottawa beat Winnipeg 4-2 last night. We've been beating that dead horse for the last 40 minutes, but Toronto beat the Montreal Canadiens last night 3-2. That is a blow to those Canadiens. So what do we think of that there? Marner's Matthew, they're looking absolutely insane as a duo.
Oh yeah, really fresh, really good, really crisp as well.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Bilko.
Yeah, you said it. They are scary. They just seem to sort of run the ice when they're on it. And I think it's still going to be an interesting series. The presumptive Toronto-Montreal series. I don't think it's going to be necessarily the beatdowns that we've seen throughout the season, but yeah, Toronto looks good.
Yeah, they look scary good right now. It's man, I don't even I don't want to get into it. That's scary.
And they're missing guys too, right? They're missing Foligno. They're missing Hyman.
But Hyman helps a lot. But I think when you've got Marner and Matthews out there, it kind of doesn't matter who that other guy is. He's going to accidentally get points. Like, honestly, he's just like, you could put me out there and I would get 30 points in the NHL if I was on a line with those two guys. I just would. I'm a 38-year-old goofball with, I can barely breathe at the top of a set of stairs anymore because I'm so out of shape. And I could get 30 points in the NHL if those two guys were my line mates. That's how good those two guys are. Marner in particular, everyone talks about Matthews. He has very slick hands. One of the best finishers ever to do it. Great goal scoring acumen. But the guy that does all of the work on that line, the guy that moves the puck around, carries the puck, turns people inside out, and then finds Matthews standing still on the back door is Mitch Marner. Mitch Marner is the guy that drives that team. He just is. So, I don't know. Like, what is Montreal going to do against a team like that? Right? In their current state, not a whole heck of a lot. So, speaking of teams that are banged up and missing people, but it is what it is. Zoner, anything on that particular game last night, Toronto Montreal?
Not much to add. You guys have covered it all. But you're right. It's just something to watch. It's been a good year to be a hockey fan. There's been a lot of good stories with Matthews breaking 40 goals, like you said, that Matthews and Marner being in sync.
Yeah.
McDavid getting 100 points, and with him and Draisaitl also sort of performing on a totally different wavelength than the rest of the league. It's been
McDusty over there.
Something else.
Simon Leung is in the chat. He says, "I agree. Marner is the man." So thank you for agreeing with me. It feels really good to have somebody agree with me. Thank you, Mr. Leung. You can have your say in the chat as well. I do want to point out that last night Edmonton did beat Vancouver 4-3, and all 4 goals Connor McDavid was in on. 2 games before that, Mr. McKnight and I were sitting here all alone without Mr. Bilkowski or Neutral Zoner on the show, and we were talking about how many points does he need to get to 100. And at the time, it was 9. He was at 91 points, and he had 6 games to go. And Keith McKnight goes, he'll do it. And I pointed out that he's had multi-point games against every time he played the Jets was a multi-point night for him. So then here we are going into last night, and I'm like, how many points does he need? 4? What? Wait a minute. And I went back and looked. The guy got 5 points in 2 games and then got another 4 points last night. He is unreal. And I'm going to put it, I'll put it to you in the panel. I'll put it to you in the chat. I have a question here. Marner Matthews as a pairing. Obviously, McJesus wins. McJesus wins. Period.
of course.
McDavid is hands down the best player in the league. I don't think you can argue that anymore. I just don't think you can. So that said, the better pairing, Draisaitl McDavid or Marner Matthews? Bilkowski, let's start with you.
Oh, but a nice 2-on-2 short ice game. I wonder.
So Bilkowski, who's the better pairing?
I take the Draisaitl McDavid just because I think they're a little more balanced. They can both score. They can both set up plays. I tend to see Austin Matthews as more of just a pure goal scorer. He's not necessarily the guy who's but I mean, having said that, he's still very good. I'll take the Edmonton duo. I think they're always a little scarier to me, but it really, we're talking about, and I've seen the comparison lately of these are this generation's Gretzky and Lemieux. They're the guys who are just, head and shoulders above everyone else in the league.
Right.
Makes us all very scared.
And before I pose the same question to Mr. McKnight over there, I will point out that Simon Leung said in the chat that Edmonton and Toronto are both on hot streaks, which is true. Toronto 7-1-2 in their last 10, which is crazy. 1 regulation loss in their last 10. And then the Edmonton Oilers 7-3-0 in their last 10, insane as well. So McKnight, go ahead. Marner Matthews or McDavid Draisaitl, which pairing?
I'm going to take McDavid and Draisaitl as well for 2 reasons, based upon last night, his performance, especially because when you really look at it, I was talking with Dr. Avinash Kumar, our friend from Minnesota there, and he was saying like, oh yeah, McDavid's probably going to end up finishing with like 111 points with the amount of games that are left. And I was just like, wow. And like, this guy just like, when you said he had 5 points, 3 points against the Jets, and he just keeps going and going and going. So it's crazy. So that I will too. And the fact that I have a picture with Connor McDavid.
Fair enough.
Yes.
And then, okay, Zoner, real quick, just give us your pick. Which one?
McDavid. He's a generational talent.
He really is.
He's just head and shoulders above everyone else. You just watch him skate; it's different.
Yeah.
He's in turbo mode, and everyone else is in professional. Like, I don't know how you get that much faster than the rest of the professionals in the world.
These are the best players in the world, and he makes them look like they're standing still half the time. I just how you do that, I don't get. Even listen, Wayne Gretzky didn't make people look as stupid as McDavid does.
No,
there's very different styles though.
Oh well,
right?
and it's different eras, and we could argue, who was better, blah blah blah, till we're blue in the face and never get anywhere. Yeah. But who is Simon Leung asking in the chat? Wasn't the guy drafted number 2 behind Austin Matthews supposed to be some kind of goal scorer too? Whatever happened to that guy?
You got sent to hockey purgatory.
Yeah.
Oh man,
yeah.
That's what happened.
You make it or you don't. Anyway, so that said, let's have a quick look because we're running very short on time over here. But this is the playoff picture as it stands right now. So we have Toronto clinching. You see the Y beside Toronto because they've clinched first place in the division. They won the division, period. They can't be caught now. The Edmonton Oilers, basically Toronto is 8 points ahead and Edmonton only has 3 games left, so they can't possibly catch them. Even if Toronto loses their final 2 games, Edmonton can't win the division. So it looks like at this point, if Montreal, basically we're looking at, is Winnipeg and Montreal going to flip spots? That's the only real question mark remaining at this point. Technically, mathematically speaking, if Montreal loses their next 2 games and Calgary wins all 5 of their remaining games, then we'd have to get into some hockey math. But other than that, it looks like the top 4 are going to be our top 4. So Toronto, Edmonton, Winnipeg, Montreal. But let's have a quick look at the last column for those that are watching, for those that are listening to the audio podcast. I'll let you know. Toronto 7-1-2 in their last 10. Edmonton 7-3-0. Winnipeg an abysmal 2-8. 2-8-0 in their last 10, which by the way matches Vancouver sitting in 7th. Okay, 2-8-0 in both of their last 10s. Montreal only 4-6-0, so very mediocre. Calgary 5-5-0. But the mind-boggling part, and how I mentioned earlier, we were going to get back to Ottawa, 8-1-1 in their last 10. Had they started this little surge 2 games earlier, they would be in the talks of, are they going to make the playoffs? Honest to God. Honest to God. They got 2 games left. They're at 49 points. They can't make the playoffs now. They just can't. Right. But I mean, 3-4 games earlier, they're in there. They're in there,
It really feels like the bottom half of this division is just kind of flipped on its head over the last month or 2.
Yeah, it's so crazy. But 8-1-1 for the Ottawa Senators. If they had figured themselves out a week and a half earlier this season, they could be in the talks for making the playoffs. That's insane to me, but the future looks very, very bright in Ottawa. I keep saying that.
It's all about because they changed their logo to the old logo.
Yeah, that's what it is. Conspiracy theory from Mr. McKnight yet again.
Yeah,
welcome back to the show, everybody. I'm just going to throw that out there. We're still here. We got a couple of things to touch on real quick before we absolutely go. I will throw the chat messages up there. Mr. Leung saying McDavid's unreal. Of course he is. Montreal has 2 games left, both against Edmonton, which sucks if you're Montreal. Calgary has 4 games against Vancouver plus 1 against Ottawa. So yeah, all those Vancouver games that Calgary missed out on, they've been waiting for the schedule to sort of come around on them. And it's looking really it's so crazy that we're still Montreal could potentially not make the playoffs still. That's a thing. They have yet to clinch, and they've been on the cusp since last Wednesday, I think, was their first opportunity to clinch a spot. And all they have to do is win a game. They haven't been able to do that since last Wednesday. So it's a rough time there. Upcoming games for the Jets, obviously we have Vancouver twice, back-to-back, Monday, tomorrow, and Tuesday this week. And then we finish off against Toronto on Friday. All 3 of those games happening here in town, in Winnipeg, and that's basically. And
it is really cold outside again today.
Yeah. Let's just talk. Did you hear Tortorella's calling it quits at the end of this year?
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't hear that. That's the best news I've heard all day.
Oh my God. Yeah, no kidding. Oh my God. The league is totally going to change.
Yeah. He said he won't be returning after his contract expires this summer. So I just wanted to get some reactions from you guys. And so let's, I want to ask McKnight first because he just exploded over there when I said that. So McKnight, thoughts?
I'm very excited for that. He is his intensity and his character is just rude for the game. The way he talks to press reporters and stuff like that. He actually told the guy that says, "Oh, you must be one of the guys who gets beat up at the bus stop." I'm like, who actually says that to somebody? And I was just like, no way. This guy's just got to go. I'm happy that he has decided. Hopefully, he's being forced out by something from upper management, maybe, and hopefully he finds himself in the KHL. He can go run a team over there with that type of style.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll get all the swear words. He'll have to learn them all in Russian. Mr. Bilkowski.
Yeah, I feel about the same. I don't have any love for Tortorella. I think he's, the exact bully that beats people up at the bus stop. He seems to ruin players. He has bad relationship with fans, with the media. I'm not a fan. Good riddance.
It's about time.
Oh, okay, fair enough. And Zoner, anything?
Well, how would you feel if he was the coach of the Winnipeg Jets next year?
No.
Oh,
Now,
no.
now that
If
he's
I had
available,
season tickets,
Hard
I
no.
would sell them all.
Hard no.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad he's gone. But the NHL is a strange place to be. He'll find a job.
Yeah.
It is a strange place to be. You're so right about that. He will find a job too. He'll weasel his way in somewhere.
I was in Vancouver when he was in that hallway incident, right? Just screaming at Bob Hartley in the hallway.
Yes, that was like a player coach incident from the other team, right?
And he had no problem getting a job right after that. Right?
That's
Despite
true.
all of that happened, and he's got a long reputation. He's our era's Mike Keenan, right?
Yeah.
Mike Keenan never
my
had
God.
trouble finding a job either. So
Yes, and he coached in the K. He had 2 years with the Kunlun Red Star, I think.
maybe you're right. Maybe he'll be in the K and then he'll come back, and who knows?
Yeah.
Oh man!
Right on. Well,
Yeah.
anyway, that is our time today.
Well, wait, Mark. Wait 1 second. What do you think about all this, Mark? Before we go,
Torts? I mean,
Yeah.
good riddance. Honestly, I think
All right.
as entertaining as he has been for the last 2 decades or whatever, however long he's been coaching, like you sort of hit a little bit on it there, Mr. McKnight, where you said, the way he talks to the media, like he's just, we're past this, enforcers in the game thing. We're throwing out referees for having that attitude of like, oh, I wanted to give him a penalty because I wanted to make it even, whatever, right? Like seeking that kind of stuff. We're getting rid of so much BS in the game. All these dirty hits and things hitting to the head. All of this is leaving the game. One of the things that this game is also trying to do is show a little more respect and be sort of, I don't want to say role models as much, especially when you got a guy like Tortorella running around, but like when young kids are watching and wanting to be hockey players, you want them thinking that they need to behave and conduct themselves in a certain way. And when you got guys like Tortorella running around cursing and swearing at everybody and everybody's just laughing it off. And like Zoner said, he just gets another job somewhere else, whatever, I really think that it sends the wrong message to children that are watching, to these kids growing up trying to get into the game. And good riddance, goodbye. As much as he's been entertaining, and I've laughed at a lot of the things he said, when you look at it as just that one incident, it's funny. When you look at his career as a coach, it is troubling how many things he has said, sort of things he has done and gotten away with. So I'm glad he's leaving, if you want to get my full opinion on it. So there you go. But
there it is. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being here. I thank you very much. Mr. Bilkowski, always a pleasure. Zoner.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Again, always a pleasure as well. And Mr. McKnight, you're always here, so whatever. Thanks.
By the way, Zoner, great read on your article that was posted the other day. I really enjoyed that. Thank you for that.
Yes, I also enjoyed that article.
Yes, that was great. The history repeats itself. It's called, if you go to the wpg.ca/sports, you can check it out there. And he's got a couple other articles coming out very shortly, so keep your eyes peeled for that. And if you wanted to check out, he mentioned an article he wrote called Chasing the Game. That was not on the WPG. That was posted on Reddit. So if you go to the subreddit r/Winnipeg Jets, it's there for all to read. Go ahead, have a look. Thank you all for being here. We want to thank our sponsor, Aquatech Pool Spa and Bath. They're always great to us. Greatly appreciate them. And all that said, let's say goodbye. The feed did cut out at the end, so I will re-upload the recorded version so that people can see the last, I think it's like 5 or 6 minutes that got cut off. So all that said, you can find our podcast on the Facebook. what am I even saying anymore? Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch. Twitch.tv/the WPG magazine. It's not on the screen. I have to fix that graphic yet, but we'll get there. So do follow us on all those social medias. Like and subscribe. It goes a long way. We greatly appreciate you. We will see you next time in the LZ.